Hi there. This is an excellent question about dissociation. It depends on the level and the degree of the dissociation that you have. Of course, I want to start out by responding to your question that it's always good if you feel like you have some challenges with dissociation, definitely seek out one or two mental health professionals, a mental health therapist or psychologist and counselor, and or a psychiatrist if necessary, if your symptoms of dissociation and or PTSD are um, affecting your ability to be social, your emotional capacity, or your ability to do your job and or school and things like that. If you feel like, hey, this is getting serious and it's really starting to impact my quality of life, then you definitely want to seek out those type of licensed mental health professionals. So I want to preface this discussion by saying that. But I think in general with, dissociation, people have that symptom because they feel unsafe, right? And so their mind and their body, they literally start spinning and checking out. So it's important to increase your emotional safety. In the context of this post, I was talking about actually being around someone who's abusive to you. So when you are doing something like that, you want to consider whether or not being around someone who's abusive to me or has historically been abusive to me is in my best interest. And perhaps my checking out is actually, or my dissociation is actually telling me that this person is still being abusive to me. So you want to start out by one, being mindful, like, what's going on with me when I notice that I checked out. So maybe checking in with yourself after maybe you've dissociated and say, what happened there? What caused that? How long did that last? How did that physically and mentally impact me? What was happening there? If you are dissociating in the presence of someone that you actually feel safe around, you may just want to pump the brakes. So, for example, I've worked with a lot of women and men actually who've checked out during intimacy, and maybe they have a new partner who they feel completely safe around. They love their partner, but for some reason, when they start being intimate, they check out. And typically that happens because there is a history of assault, sexual assault, or things like that. So, pump the brakes when you notice yourself checking out, and also include your partner in that process. And they should also be pumping the brakes too and doing what I like to call a check-in and saying, hey, are you okay? Maybe you need to stop. Maybe you need to slow down. Maybe you need to focus on doing other things in the interim as opposed to doing the activity that you were previously doing when you started to check out. So maybe, for example, as opposed to intercourse, maybe you just might want to focus on cuddling until you can come back, feel centered, and be present. So maybe it's just that you want to increase safety in the room by doing other things that feel non-threatening in the moment to allow you to feel safe again to re-engage in other stuff, if that makes sense. Another activity which I like to do with clients is grounding exercises. You can Google and YouTube that, but essentially one grounding exercise that's very popular is having, sitting in a chair in a comfortable spot that's very, very comfortable and you feel safe in, having your hands on your lap or on the armrest of the chair and having your feet flat on the ground, and focusing on 5 things that you can see, taste, touch, smell, and hear. So you want to focus. The purpose of grounding is focusing on the here and now with all of your senses and alerting you to the fact that, one, you're safe, but two, let's focus on being present by focusing on your immediate surroundings and bringing your mind and body back together into yourself where you can actually proceed and go forth. The other thing, which I talked a little bit about, is being mindful earlier, which is where you're sort of, taking an assessment of what causes you to dissociate, what sort of symptoms it causes, how this impacts you in the moment and throughout the day. Lastly, there are things such as breath work, which you can also Google and YouTube, where you can focus on breathing exercises. And so, diaphragmatic breathing, which is where you're breathing from your belly, breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. You can do visualization exercises and work work from a place of grounding your mind and body, essentially. So I hope this helps. And this is not meant to be a cure all, but these are great places that I recommend and that I often start with my clients. And then, of course, if it's very severe, medication can also be of help.